Hi, welcome to another episode of Oh Heavens. I'm Jeff Dixon, your host for this journey as we look at heaven. We are examining the topic of heaven, which is a big topic and one that people are always curious about. But we're doing so by answering questions that help us kind of move into a conversation of doing a deeper dive and trying to understand some answers. Believe it or not, this question comes from one of you, our viewers, who has watched this series, and we've held the question back because now it kind of fits in the context of how we've laid the series out. Here's the question you ask: why worship now if I'm going to spend all of eternity worshiping? Now, on one hand, that's a practical question, right? On the other hand, the answer sounds a little short, but it's not. Because worship is not about us, it's about God. And so asking or thinking of the question from the attitude or the angle of why are we doing this gets us in trouble, because the reason that we do it is because it's all about God and what He's instructed us to do. See, one of the main purposes of worship is to get our minds off the things of the earth and onto the things of heaven. And that happens here and now. And so that's why we read in Colossians 3 that we are to set our minds on things above, not on things on the earth. For we've died and our life is hidden with Christ in God. That's in verses 1 through 3 of Colossians 3. See, worship is the quarter through which we exchange the things of this world for the reality of heaven. It's the avenue, if you will, that leads us from the emptiness of this world to the fullness of the next. It's the street that leads from decay and discouragement to renewal and to glory. And so when we fail to worship, we confine ourselves by our own choice to the restraints and confines of this existence, this life here on planet Earth. Some people, to be honest with you, are indifferent about worship. But I believe worship should be at the very core of our existence. We were created to worship God. And not just on our own, but also corporately together with the body of Christ. And one day we're going to be involved in a gigantic worship event. One of them we described in our previous episode. And we will be praising God together, all together in heaven. So think of this as a rehearsal, because there's no guarantee of how much time that you actually have to get ready. It could be tomorrow. So worship is designed to quicken the conscience through drawing ourselves to the holiness of God, to feed our minds with the truth of God, to fill our imagination with the beauty of God, and to open our hearts to the love of God so that our lives and our will can line up with the purpose of God. And when we're willing to do that, then worship is something here on earth that draws us closer to heaven and makes us more into the people we were created to be. So, it's a good question. And there's a lot of things that worship is good for, but more than anything else, it's about God. It's not about you. Yet it is incredibly good for you because it lines you up with who God is and what God has created you to be. That's why we worship. That's why we worship today, as if we're rehearsing for heaven. I look forward to joining you next time.